Welcome to the Cotton Center FFA Chevron Delo tractor restoration video.
This year we restored a 1952 8N Ford tractor.
Thank you Chevron Delo for such a great contest.
Veronica, Abby,
Kelly, Jessica,
Caitlin.
We first disassembled the engine, cleaned all the parts, and measured everything to see if it was in spec. Then we lubricated all moving parts with Delo 400. When you put this much work into something, you accept nothing but the best. Finally, we reassembled the engine. One trick we learned in overhauling the engine is to drill a hole in each cylinder that holds the lifter. This really helps when adjusting the valve. When installing valves, another trick is to use Delo EP grease to hold the retainer in place.
To overhaul the transmission, we first removed the main shaft, which is the top shaft of the transmission. Then we removed the countershaft. Finally, we removed the idler shaft. We then cleaned all the shafts and gears. Then we lubricated the idler shaft and installed it into the transmission with the reverse idle field. We installed the countershaft with the countershaft gear. Then we installed the main shaft, which has first, second, and third gear, as well as the reverse gear. We used Delo 8090 SAE mineral oil for our transmission.
we first removed the axle center housing from the transmission. The axle housing came next, followed by the differential gear assembly. All components were in good shape, so we inserted the axle back into the axle housing and bolted one side to the center axle housing. Then we installed the differential gear to the axle and inserted the second axle and housing.
The hardest part of this tractor was removing the hydraulic pump. We think this 8N was pulling a shredder and hit something solid, which caused the PTO shaft to suddenly stop, resulting in it to be warped by the impact. We had to cut out the PTO shaft before we could remove the pump. Then we purchased a hydraulic pump overhaul kit and rebuilt the pump. It was amazing how simple a hydraulic pump really was.
The final drive, hydraulic pump, and transmission all use Delo 8090 SAE.
Before we started our tractor, we poured Delo antifreeze into our radiator.
Go ahead.